Hello and welcomes back everyone, and Wolf here with even more Star Wars The Old Republic, playing as our Imperial agent Thalon here, and where we last left off, we were doing an interlude video, yes, an interlude part of the series where we did the flashpoint known as Kadamimu. We got to know Kaleo a bit more, seems more of her previous associates are looking to settle some old scores with her, which puts us in a situation, if they find her, they find us, and well, we're trying to keep ourselves, well, our missions could become in jeopardy thanks to Kaleo, let's put it that way, which makes me less than pleased. But she has been useful so far, and as long as she continues to be so, we can probably overlook some interruption. As long as she doesn't jeopardize the overall missions we're given, I suppose. Either way, we are now continuing to target another of the Eagle's network, another terrorist cell. This one on the world of Alderaan. So, let me just refamiliarize myself with the levels we gained. So, at level 56 we got Toxic Regulators. So, our damage overtime abilities don't tick on targets who are asleep. Right, okay. In addition, we always take 30% reduced damage from people who apply damage overtime abilities to us. And that can be either... Oh, and just our flat damage reduction is increased by 15% after our shield probe ends. So our shield soaks up over 5,000 damage, which isn't bad. It's like 20% of our health, say. And then we have 15% this flat damage reduction. Also, if we end up fighting a virulent sniper or the equivalent sharpshooter, the equivalent gunsmith, or gunslinger I should say, from the Republic side, their poisons, their corrosive effects obviously will do less damage to us because of just our discipline path. We are somewhat immune to our own toxins, let's put it that way. So, level 58, 59 and 60 all have things in store for us. Very nice indeed. Did we gain any new abilities? We did not. Right, so... I don't think there's anything else I need to check before we get ourselves underway. 2 moments. Sorry about that, had a slight interruption. Right, let's get ourselves underway to Alderaan. It's one of the Corwood worlds. Recommended levels 28 to 32. We're probably going to be level synced to level 33. The light side is victorious right now, not ideal. Alderaan is a mountainous world of lush forests and grasslands ruled by an assembly of noble houses and an enlightened and advanced citizenry. It is a founding member of the Republic and has been traditionally admired for its wealth, its art, and its thinkers, while the deadly intrigues and politics of the nobility have been downplayed. Recently, those intrigues erupted in the Civil War, and Alderaan, now officially withdrawn from the Republic, sees conflict it hasn't known in ages. The Republic is backing House Organa's quest for the crown, whereas the Empire backs the former House Thul exiles. Palaces and fields have become pockmarked by cannon fire, and noble house armies clash on the battlefield. So, it's been a while with the politics of Alderaan, but to add a bit more to that, obviously they talk about the major houses here, the nobility. Obviously, House Organa, a well-known house if you know the Star Wars fandom and fanfiction and lore. And there are other, so they are very pro-Republic. And House Thul were sent into exile. I forgot why. I think they got caught in some political intrigue and were dishonored and were forced into, like, either forced to leave the world or into minor nobility. But now the Empire is pledging their support, their wealth, their obviously backing militarily as well, to put them back into the spotlight. What has happened is, I think there is a major noble faction or noble family known as House Pantier. They have tended to be the rulers of Alderaan, but the queen, or the former queen of Alderaan, has been killed. I think she may have been assassinated, and the line of succession is no longer clear. House Ulgo, which is a highly militaristic noble family, has kind of falsely, but they have the backing of a lot of military. They've basically claimed the throne of Alderaan, and now, as we say, civil war has erupted. There are various other noble houses, such as House Rist, who aren't a major player, but House Rist have cultivated this House of Assassins. And House Rist, of course, ply their trade, they lend their expertise to the other noble houses for favours and support. And so, yeah, it's a very convoluted web of intrigue here in Alderaan right now, and we, as a member of the Empire, can happily support House Thul in furthering its claim on Alderaan. And if we succeed, then Alderaan may actually, obviously, become a member of the Empire, may be annexed. We shall see. Of course, a player of the Republic would be, of course, backing House Organa and their grip on the throne as well.
Stand by. I'm routing comm traffic through our mid-rim outposts. You're on a 6-second delay until I resynchronize the data stream. 3, 2, 1. Synced and secured. Tracking systems show you're in the castle lands of Alderaan. Enjoy the view, Cypher. I hear the mountains are lovely.
After the last few worlds, I'll be sure to appreciate it.
It'll keep you sane. Alderaan is governed by the wealthiest noble families in the galaxy. They've feuded for centuries, and are presently engaged in a full-scale war. You're here because Imperial Intelligence believes that one of the noble houses, or a noble within one of the houses, is financing the Eagle's terror network.
What sort of financing are we talking about?
Money for weapons, transportation, bribes, anything the cells need. The Empire's resources are tied up supporting House Thul's efforts to claim the throne. But Intelligence does have one asset, Vector Hillis. Vector was an Imperial ambassador to the nobles, but he was later repurposed. Now he's with the Killiks, Alderaan's native alien species.
Why are you being cagey, Watcher 2?
Apologies. Vector's is an unusual case, and I should explain. When Vector approached the Killiks on a mission of diplomacy, they absorbed him into their collective intelligence. He's part of their hive mind. However, he continues to file activity reports, and we believe he's still loyal to the Empire, even if he's barely human anymore.
How's that possible?
Prolonged exposure to the Killiks induces physiological changes. He shares thoughts, feelings with them, but we don't know much more. We've requisitioned Vector from the diplomatic service and given him a need-to-know overview. You'll rendezvous at these coordinates. Use him to eliminate any noble or house funding the terrorists. Watcher 2 out.
Okay, so we have a point of contact, this Vector Helus. an ambassador, so part of the diplomatic corps, or formerly of the diplomatic corps, now part of the Keelik Hive. We learned a little bit about the Keeliks there. We'll learn more as we spend time on Alderaan. They are a native species, and yeah, they do absorb individuals into their hive mind. Most of those individuals then don't want or don't seem capable of recalling their previous selves and are one of the hive, with their own desires then replaced with obviously the hive's desires instead. And yet, as Watcher 2 mentioned, Vector is still sending reports to the Empire, which makes him an interesting individual. Whether or not he can be trusted and is still fully supporting the Empire, well, let's go discover that for ourselves. This is another one of those worlds where both players of the Empire and the Republic have their own dedicated spaceport, and we come here at the same time, so there is a small chance that player versus player content will actually occur. So one of the noble houses, probably House Organa, by my guess. Or someone within House Organa. Maybe supporting the Eagle. But we'll find out more. We'll get out of the spaceport and then we'll have a look at the overall world map and talk about it.
My lady has never even met your lord. Why should she agree to marry him?
These are desperate times. We must unite our houses to stand against Organa.
Unite your heir with the 8th of Pantyr blood in my lady's veins, you mean?
And I suppose your house has no interest in bearing Alderaan's next king?
House Pantyr is dead. House Thul should find its own way to the crown.
So we have House Cortez here, with House Thul. Seemingly Cortez have, was it 1/8 of Pantyr blood? Wow, they're really reaching to find someone of House Pantyr dynasty who has some claim to the throne.
Welcome, sir. I bring the good wishes of Moff Sarek, the officer entrusted with annexing this planet. He has been anticipating your arrival.
What's the situation?
I would not presume to answer that. The Moff can explain to you himself.
Good day, sir. Your services to the Empire are well known, to those with the proper clearance. I expect you care little for the niceties of politics here, so I will be brief. The Empire intends to use Alderaan's succession struggle to bring it into the fold, and I'm offering you the opportunity to play a pivotal role.
What's going on here?
The heir to Alderaan's throne was recently assassinated, right after withdrawing from the protection of the Republic. The planet's in civil war, and for the first time in thousands of years, without the armies of the Republic to bring order.
A divided world will fall quickly.
Yes, we must make our move now, while the throne stands empty. We have an alliance with one of the noble houses, House Thul. The house was exiled 60 years ago after a failed bid for power, and came to us instead. Unfortunately, they have proven too weak to do what's needed.
Do they need the fear of the Emperor put into them?
Yes. Jorad, one of the Thul lords, insists on following Alderaan's rules of civilized warfare. I want you to show him warfare is far from civil. Several of Thul's vassal houses have rebelled since Thul's connection to us became public. This cannot be allowed. Take a slave collar from my man here and drag one of these rebels to our weak-willed Lord Thul. Kill the rest and leave them where they fall.
They will learn that the best way to survive is to submit.
These lords of Alderaan must lose their foolish pride. Those who will not bow must break.
Okay, so we learned, 60 years ago, House Thul tried to make a bid for the throne of Alderaan and failed. So, we're in Kaamos Territory. Let's wait for the guild notification to disappear. Right, so we pull out, obviously, House Thul, most of its strongholds are located here in Kaamos Territory. But then we will, after the main events here, be traveling into the Duran Mountains. We'll be traveling from the north. The Duran Mountains is most of this entire right-hand sector here. As players from the Republic start in the Palace Coast, travel through the Alsaican lowlands, and actually then travel into the Duran Mountains themselves. And both factions will then eventually trickle into the Galeris Valley for one reason or another. Once again we have our heroic missions.
What can I get for you?
No, that's fine.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. So, let's see, map. We can meet our contact vector in some nearby caverns, it seems. But we'll speak to him later. For now, let's see if we can enforce the will of the Empire on this Lord Thul. I'm not sure if he's the overall lord of the entire noble house. The hierarchy of the noble houses, not just House Thul's, but even House Organa's, is a bit convoluted. So we have a little marketplace here with various crew skill vendors. We have a local cantina. So we have the House Thul Palace here. But we need to go find one of these rebelling nobles first. There are smaller cantinas on the way out of this I'm not even sure what you would call this. It's actually known as like House Thul Territory. Each noble house have their own, I suppose compound would be the best way to put it. Their own base of operations. House Organa have 2 or 3 in fact. But various nobles, you can stick this around your neck, don't mind me.
Free! Alderaan! You want some of this?
Right. Rebelling Noble, classification pet. You'll be coming along with me.
Only time I'm ever gonna be in a palace like this. Makes you want to kick out the nobles and run around naked.
So let's take our pet noble and introduce him to Lord Thul. So yeah, we have been level synced down to level 33. That's fine. I wonder if we can get on the upper level here. at House Thul. I've never bothered looking to see if we can get upstairs. Either way.
What is... who... Krymar? Is that Krymar Novan? That's a free nobleman of Alderaan. Unhand him. Who are you? What's this about?
I work for the Empire. The Empire you swore to serve.
That wasn't exactly the terms of our agreement as I understood it.
All of Alderaan will be thrown into chains because of you!
Silence, slave! The sooner you see reason, the easier it'll be.
I've said before that being too harsh might stir greater rebellion, though, of course, that's up to you.
I believe that is up to me.
Sir.
This spineless toad will make a poor lord of Alderaan.
Yes. It will take work to shape him. I hope you will undertake this for me. I would like to make you the voice of the Empire in House Thul. Aid Jorad and his men in crushing resistance to our rule. Obey him as if it were me, and with the same penalty for defiance. Tell him what you need, and he will ensure Thul's hold on Alderaan.
Yes, sir. Sir.
What happens next?
I suppose the Moff expects us to take on House Organa. They're one of our oldest noble houses and loyal to the Republic. Until recently, they've been without an army, but they've got supporters all over the planet, including here.
You'll never find them. They've got top-of-the-line cloaking, better than anything the Empire makes. No probes will get through, no spy sats, nothing.
You really are an idiot.
House Organa denied raising an army, claiming it's just patriots defending their lands. But their attacks are too organized. We'll never find every group. We need to get inside their planet-wide communications, and that means finding a base with a physical link to slice into.
Just tell me where to go.
The Organa guerrillas have a base hidden in some cave or other natural camouflage. There should be a master comlink there, guarded by their best soldiers. If you insert this computer spike, it'll give us a backdoor into all their communications.
Once we can hear them, there's nowhere on this world they'll be safe.
House Organa will not make another move without us knowing.
Okay. So we must undertake the training of this Lord Jorad Thul. Before we get out of the palace itself, I'm just going to travel this way briefly. Okay, this is a stateroom. I know in House or Organa Palace, you can travel up this way and it would actually lead you to the upper level. But it's set up differently here. Right. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a way up to the second level, to the second floor. Oh well, so be it. Not directly, anyway. There are methods.
This is my third request that's been ignored. You've left the entire compound exposed to attack.
We're at war for your crown. I haven't got time to see to your personal entourage.
The impudence! Where does the Empire get its soldiers these days? Some swamp on Hutta?
Maybe you'd like it if we pulled out altogether. See how House Thul fares on its own. Let me worry about the men, my lord. Go back to the dining hall, where you belong.
Yeah. Some places have like little hidden secrets. Places you can attach yourself and pull yourself up. If you have the appropriate item, which I think you can purchase here on Alderaan. So, we have another cave system. Yeah, House Organa have a nearby guerrilla base of operations. Meanwhile, we have another quest. Rylan Stalos, I believe, used to be standing on our way out of the compound itself, but they changed his quest location.
Imagine leaving your home for a sojourn into the galaxy. When you return, you find the manor infested. The wood is rotten and wriggling. Beetles carpet floors you raced across as a child, and maggots drop in tangled clumps onto your head. This is what House Thul must contend with, an infestation of vermin.
The Killiks, insectoid aliens here on Alderaan, they're causing problems.
Yes, barely intelligent things. It's the nobility's obligation to contain the swarms underground. Unchecked, they are ravaging this planet, turning palaces into hives and cocooning the survivors. Generations caught in the mandibles of beasts.
You said they're native to this world. They were here first?
Legend has it Killiks once ruled the planet. Supposedly most flew to the stars, but how many remained in hibernation? House Organa has been neglecting their responsibilities against the vermin, but even they carry defenses against Killik hunting parties. If you could seize the Organa toxins and poison the Killik hives, well, the Killiks will swarm, and the other houses must defend themselves and do their part.
That's not a bad idea.
We will all war against the Killiks, and Thul will save this planet from infestation.
I'm not sure if provoking the Killiks is the best idea, considering we're looking to speak to a part Killik for information. But I'm not sure if the Killiks have one hive mind, or maybe each hive have their own consciousness separate from the others. Yeah, I think normally Rylan is like here, maybe. But no matter. So we need a poison disperser, and we need to infect the Killik hives relatively close to the gorilla base. I think that's where House Organa have the tools we need. They're just not using them against the Killiks for one reason or another. Probably because they're more than happy to see the Killiks swarm on House Thul territory. It's always at this point where I always wish I had the stealth variant or a stealth playable class. This is one of those areas, one of these cave systems that by the time you get to the end of it, the enemies have respawned and you have to fight your way out. Whereas if you had a stealth operative, or a scoundrel for the Republic side for instance, you could just sneak all the way through the trash here. Oh well. Thankfully they die relatively quickly. There is a law object, yeah, on House Organa here. Ooh, we have some Jedi. Oh, that's not the right button. Pushing our way through.
Come on out, I'll show you my gun.
Okay, so we need to get to the main frame here. Or the communications relay, so we can tap into House Organa's operations in this territory. God damn it. Trying to avoid being force pushed there, but oh well. Right, computer spike in.
Impressive work. You can see we now have access to the Organa systems. They're all talking about the ruthlessness and brutality of the recent attack. They do train you Imperials well, don't they?
Crush the rebellion now, and you will not have to fight them again.
True. When everyone has bowed to us, there will again be peace on Alderaan. Now that we can monitor the Organa's communications, it should be possible to...
Lord Thul, the base is under attack.
Send aid quickly. Border Outpost 2 under attack. I repeat, under attack.
Perimeter defenses breached. We're under attack by assault droids. Repeat, a coordinated attack by probe and assault droids.
Blood of the Queen.
There's an attack on one of your bases.
One we could handle. The data feeds are showing all 3 of our border outposts are under attack. A coordinated assault. Hunter-killers and probe droids. All I've got out there is a skeleton crew. You're the only one close enough to reach them in time. Please, save my bases, and bring me the memory cores from any probes you destroy. I want to know who's behind this. Good luck.
I'll bring you the heads of those droids, and their master.
Thank you. Now hurry!
Okay. One thing I don't mind is they've made this quest a little bit easier. Used to have to deal with all 3 bases, but now we only have to deal with 2 of them. Avoid this Jedi? Yes, I can. Heal ourselves up. So get outside this cave. So we have the Keelik poison, of course, still a grab. And then the 2 bases. The third base is over here, but you know, no longer need to reach that one. And if we head around this way, we have another House Organa mercenary camp. Well, guerrilla camp, I should say. No bonus missions so far. But the guerrilla fighters are holding on to the Keelik poison.
Not so tough now, dirtbag.
We need to find a poison disperser though. What's this? Oh, Colto tanks. Thank you. Oh, we have some of the Keelik Air Hive buildings here as well. Perfect. Which group to deal with? Right. You are by yourself, but I think you're part of this group here. Yep. Figured as much. Okay, so we now need a poison-free Keelik hives. We have some of the Keeliks here. There's some immature larvae, and then we have the actual, more humanoid Keeliks here. We actually have a lore object, or codex entry on the Keeliks now. We might want to have a look at that to learn a bit more about Vector. Ooh. And we have an lore object on Joiners. Joiners are another name for what Vector has become. Seeing if there's any entrances here we can poison. It looks like it's pointing us on the way to that third base, which we no longer need to actually strike at, but no. Okay, that's fine. Here's the first Imperial base, or House Thul base.
And more down.
Most of the enemies cleared here. They have asked us to deal with some probe droids, get their memory cores. Hopefully then extract who was responsible for the planning of this operation. Head on to the second base now. Keelik hives here. Wonder if we can, if there's anything to poison around this area. Oh, we have lava burrows, which we can interact with, so... There's probably a mission around here, but not one we can do right now. Oh well. Either way, this is the second base we need to help defend.
One more down.
There's the memory cores we needed. There we are. With a sizable hole in the attacker's forces. The defenders can handle the rest. Let's go hit this Keelik hive. It's relatively close by. I think we'll have to travel to the west again with Vector, but it's been a while. Can't fully recall. Oh, I have a small security chest here. Here's a hive we need to poison. The closest we'll probably ever get to wielding an assault cannon. Right, so let's quick travel back to the palace itself. Oh, bloody hell.
The Keelik hives have been poisoned. They'll swarm soon.
And the noble houses must accept their obligation to combat them, thanks to Thul leadership. In another life, you would have made a fine royal guardian of the mountains.
I guess that's meant as a compliment. Okay, so our snipe has now been replaced with lethal snipe. Or lethal shot, I should say. Deals some damage and some internal poison damage at the same time. Happy days. Anything else? No. Fair enough.
I cannot thank you enough for your quick work. I don't know what the Organas were after, but that attack was long in the planning.
It was a costly defeat for them.
Oh, they have deep pockets, but it won't be quick to rebuild such a force. Who's the source of these? What were they looking for? and quickly.
The programming signatures point to Lord Cedric Kilesa.
Lord Killes is my vassal. He swore loyalty to me personally when we returned from exile.
Were the droids after something in particular?
The parameters indicate the probes were to join an assault team in a... My lord, this program indicates an assault team massing in a tunnel between here and the Kilesa estates. I don't find any such tunnel on the blueprint.
The siege tunnel! Blood of a queen! They're coming through the siege tunnel!
What are you talking about?
There's an old tunnel between here and Cedric's estate. It was the escape route in ancient times in case of a siege. No one's used it in centuries, but the tunnel opens right under this room. What are we going to do?
I'll be stained with blood from head to toe.
I would not have guessed your bloodlust would come in so handy. Moff Sarek gave us cartons of thermite explosives. They take time to set up, but they pack a punch. If you take them into the siege tunnel, you can collapse it on Cedric and his army. Seal the access, so they can't threaten us again.
How do I get into this siege tunnel?
There's an entrance to the tunnel nearby. The storeroom is in the same area. I'll recall my troops to defend the surface, but there's no doubt the real battle will be below. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah. The droids' assault on the free bases was just to pull some Houseful's forces away from the palace here itself. Let's grab these thermite explosives. Let's go collapse this siege tunnel, shall we? Bloody hell, they were already here. Just 2 stairways away from actually killing Jorad himself.
All going down.
Oh, we had an explosive fuel tank there. As long as collapsing these support pillars doesn't accidentally also then collapse the palace itself, that would be again unfortunate. That's handy, so when we flashbang someone, our damage over time abilities don't knock them out of their flashbang state. That has its pros and cons, I suppose, but handy for keeping them disabled while we maybe deal with someone else.
Going down.
Oh, and we have a tunneler droid. Kaleo said they're still in a DPS role. Whoops. There you go. We have a schematic here if we were doing some crafting crew skills. Tremantium jacket. I haven't seen schematics in a while.
So, you're the Imperial puppet who taught Jorad Thul to bite instead of bark. Does he lick your hand? Fetch your slippers? Real Alderaanians will never bow to the likes of you.
No one world can stand up to the might of the Empire.
I would sooner see Alderaan blasted into space debris than given over to the Empire. You don't even have the guts to fight this yourself, instead of hiding behind a cart and a thermite. If you had a shred of decency, you'd settle this by an honorable duel. You against me.
You against me.
You surprise me. I thought Imperials never fought unless their odds were 10 to 1. A duel of skill, then. If you win, I will give my house over to Jorad Thul to use as he will. If I win, you stand aside and let me cleanse Alderaan of this scourge. And tell your Imperial handlers Alderaan lives free or dies! To arms!
You against me, and then all of a sudden you pull your troopers in.
I concede. You have the better skill. Perhaps it is Alderaan's fate to fall to the Empire. I will tell my people. We must find a way to live through these times.
No one challenges me and lives.
Then kill me. At least I will not live to see Alderaan fall.
And that's the end of that. Did we have a proc there? Oh, the lethal takedown ability, that's right. For when we use our culling ability. We have 80% chance of activating our takedown.
The Kalazes just surrendered. My men are returning from the outpost to take them into custody. The Kalazes are acknowledging you as a man of honor. I will tell Moff Sarek of your heroism immediately.
Take 10 heads for every one traitor and they will not rebel again.
The Thuls need not fear any further rebellion in their ranks. It would be a waste to pin down one of our best operatives here any longer. General Stanul Thul is coordinating our efforts near House Ald. Speak to him if you'd like to take a further role in this conquest.
You have saved my house's dream of ruling our world, and taught me much about what that will mean. I will not forget.
Very good. So, if we want to continue helping Imperial interests here, continue the world quest, Lord Stanulthul is in the northern section of the Durian Mountains. He's overseeing the assault on House Alder, who are an ally to House Organa, I believe. They have their own compound in the Duran Mountains. We'll head that way eventually. For now, let's introduce ourselves to Vector Helus, or Hylas. See what he can tell us about this supporter of the Eagle's network. Once we get close to the cave system, we'll have a quick look at the Codex and learn what we can about the Helix. Some of which we'll probably learn even more about during our time here on Alderaan. But since we have Codex entries, we can teach ourselves somewhat. So, let's see. Species. We have Helix. Mostly some of the original inhabitants of Alderaan. The insectoid Helix spread across the planet and throughout the neighboring star systems millennia before the foundation of the Republic. By the time human colonists found Alderaan, the Helix had long since migrated into deep space for reasons unknown. It just so happened that a few Helix had remained behind on Alderaan and lived in hibernation deep underground. Every few hundred years, these Helix would emerge and come into conflict with the colonists before retreating and sleeping once again. Helix society is comprised of a collection of hive minds, some violently territorial, others gentle and reclusive. Okay. Individual Helix possess no sense of identity or self, and each would unquestionably sacrifice itself for the benefit of its nest. As a result, Helix cannot comprehend the value of other species that other species place on individuals, making them difficult to interact or negotiate with. They do, however, have values of their own, such as creating beautiful works of art or engaging in their own complex ritual behavior. So yeah, they have no concept of individuality. You're part of that particular hive mind and you try to do your utmost to benefit that hive mind. But now we learn more about the joiners. Joiners are non-Killic individuals who have been absorbed into the Killic hive mind. Prolonged exposure to the powerful pheromones released by Killics causes an alteration of the subject's brain chemistry, making him subservient to the nest's desires. Long-term exposure can turn a subject's eyes completely black, though this appears to be the extent of physiological changes. Initially, joiners retain many characteristics of their own personality, as well as some sense of individual identity. At this point, joiners often describe the relationship as symbiotic, feeling they gain more from joining than the Helix. Over time, however, their personalities become more and more subsumed, until they cannot conceive of any existence away from the hive mind. It is possible to medically reverse the joining process, even in the later stages. Okay. Oh, our experience booster has ended. So what kind of hive mind are we walking into, I suppose, is the question.
Yes, this is the one, as the song schedule determined.
I can't wait to see how this goes.
We are Vector Hillis. Dawn Herald of the Ouroboros Nest. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Agent.
It sounds like you were expecting me.
We received a message concerning your mission. We were told we might serve. We trust our appearance doesn't disturb you. Our superiors in the diplomatic service find our joining disconcerting, but it was necessary. The joining allowed us to share thoughts and senses with the Nest, forge a bond between Empire and Kilix. The change is a small price.
Being transformed doesn't bother you?
It was unexpected, but now I'm part of the kind. I hear the song of the universe. It's a magnificent thing. Yes, as to your target, Imperial Intelligence provided us with a list of names, dates, and locations connected to your terrorist financier.
Do you have an ID on the target?
We can't identify the financier himself, but your information shows he's visited House Organa, House Ceres, House Pantier, and House Cortez. Cortez is a vassal of the Empire's proxy, House Thul. If you show the Cortez Baron a copy of our findings, he might close in on your foe.
I appreciate the advice.
We must proceed to the Dance of Unlighting, but we'll remain here for the duration of your mission. We suggest you present yourself to Cortez as an ally of the Empire. Show strength, and don't mention your intelligence connections.
Interesting. So we need to enlist the aid of House Cortez, who may then narrow down our target who's financing the Eagle's network. It seems this financer has visited various noble houses here in Alderaan. Therefore could be a member of any one of them. House Cortez is relatively close by. For some reason we need to avoid mentioning our Imperial connections, our intelligence connections. I wonder why that is. Obviously we are an Imperial asset. I wonder what House Cortez will there's always the favor barter system here on Alderaan. For the information that we require, I wonder what House Cortez is going to need of us. Oh, we have a quick travel node here, which will make our life a little bit easier. House Cortez. Nice, quiet, somewhat peaceful compound. I suppose it's behind House Fool's major compound, so it's less of a target. And they are like a minor house compared to House Fool.
Hold your guard. In the name of Baron Payar Cortez and the Cortez Barony, I demand you state your business or face expulsion.
I am one of the free soldiers of the Polemian trade route, come to offer my company's services.
Another mercenary thug, then. Come to Alderaan for a few credits.
Best mercenary thug this side of the rim.
Captain Perovius, there's no need to react this way.
Forgive me, my lady.
I am Baroness Che Cortez. Forgive our lack of hospitality, but these are inhospitable times. And quite frankly, Cortez has no need of mercenaries. Friends, yes, but not armies for hire.
Allow me to prove that I can be a friend.
Perhaps. Some days ago, we lost a squad of battle droids patrolling the borders of Cortez lands. That squad was our first line of defense. We believe the squad's disappearance may presage an attack, yet not one of our allies has come to our aid.
What happened to the squad exactly?
We don't know what destroyed our droids. They went silent. Until we find out, we must prepare for the worst. If you want our favor, send your troops to determine the fate of our patrol. Perhaps then my Baron may host guests.
We'll do everything possible to make this right.
I'll leave you to Captain Perovius. I hope to see you under better circumstances.
If your troops find droids, tell them to activate the squad's homing beacon. Perhaps the data logs will help us. I don't like so many strangers around the estate.
So the good captain of House Cortez here is suspicious, but he's right to be so. Oh, according to the map here, the first line of defense of House Cortez didn't go missing too far away. You think they'd have more defenses set up then on the entrance to their estate. They have a few cannons. Okay, they have a few turrets. Somewhat respectable. So let's see if we can find these battle droids. Ah, I think they are up next to the Keelik Hives. We have some smugglers and pirates nearby. Right, how are we gonna... yeah. Trying to think what's the quickest way up to the hive here. I think it's around this way. So, were they attacked by the Keeliks then? Oh, plenty of bones. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
You and me, getting good.
This is Captain Perovius. It's good to see you again. I'm impressed that you conducted the search personally. We're receiving the droid's logs now. You have my thanks.
No thanks are necessary. It was my privilege.
I would have lost men conducting the search. You saved lives today. At any rate, these logs are discouraging. The droid skirmish with the Keeliks. Blasted bugs are on Cortez lands again.
I ran into a few more on my way here.
Figures as much. Rumor has it that the Keelik nest is growing. Probably scouting for a new home. I'll make sure the Baron knows. Those things won't build a new hive in Cortez territory. I'll tell you that.
Now that I've done my part, may I see the Baron?
The Baroness is offering you an invitation to the estate. You may return at your leisure.
I wonder if I could have introduced myself to as nobility to House Cortez. I'm not sure how I would have played it off. I didn't particularly look like nobility. I could have dressed... Oh shit, that's a bit of a drop for the occasion, I suppose. With Kaleo at my side, passing off as a mercenary party was a bit more believable. Especially with Kaleo's blunt speech. Though I suppose I could have passed her off as my bodyguard. So, the Baroness we met before has offered us an invitation, thanks to our favour, as I mentioned. Now, hopefully, we can earn more favours to get the information we seek. Trying to explain why we're looking for that information is... well, we'll have to make up something believable.
The Baron is expecting you. This way, please.
Our guest has arrived, my lord.
Baron Payar Cortes, Sword of the Castle Lands. I hereby present to you an honorable friend and a soldier of fortune. This man risked himself in the service of House Cortes, valiantly recovering our lost patrol and identifying the Killick threat. In appreciation of his noble deeds, and out of respect for his accomplishments, I ask that you grant him recognition.
I so grant him recognition. I am Baron Payar Cortes, good sir. Welcome to my home.
Allow me to present Kaleo Janis, my loyal and trusted associate.
Such an exotic young woman. How is it you come to be here?
I slid out of Mama's womb and picked up a blaster. Now I'm your new friend's bodyguard. Of course, you and me could be friends, too. You got a nice place here. I could stick around a while.
Baron?
You are an intriguing creature, I admit.
Hear what he said? That was sweet.
With those manners, you could be royalty.
I could welcome people just like the Baroness.
I hope I didn't give the wrong impression at the gates. I just take the security of my house very seriously.
One of few things she does, along with her gardens and her ack dogs.
You'll make me blush, my lord.
Tell me now, why do you seek my house? Is there a favor you would ask? An alliance you'd propose?
This data describes someone who interests me. Take a look.
I don't know what I'm looking for, but very well. Ah, I see, a visitor to my house. I believe the guest you're looking for is Master Denry Ale. We've hosted him and his summit on a number of occasions.
I'm afraid I don't recognize the name.
Denry Ale was once Lord Denry Ale, a powerful and respected man among the vassal houses. But some years ago, he abdicated his position.
He became a mediator dedicated to forging peace.
Strange you should ask about him now. For several weeks, Denry Ale has been missing. Whether off on some secret negotiation or something more regrettable, no one knows.
We can't let him disappear. It would be unfortunate.
I'll begin looking into Ale's whereabouts through formal and informal diplomatic channels. If I can find him for you, I will. You may also wish to investigate the matter yourself. I'm sure a mercenary of your caliber has sources.
I appreciate your efforts, Baron.
In the meantime, you're welcome to stay as a guest. House Cortes prides itself on its hospitality.
We'll have to dine together. You can meet the ack dogs.
The Baron has spoken. This audience is at an end.
Ack dogs, you say? I haven't really encountered ack dogs since our time on Hutta, and they were trying to eat us. So, the Baron of House Cortes has pledged his assistance in locating this formerly Lord Denry Ale. But now that we have a name, and that it was a former lord of a vassal house, or a minor house, perhaps Vector, with his former diplomatic corps status, can get more information for us. Might as well report the vector what we discovered.
Is it me, or are there more bugs than last time?
Welcome back. Your aura reflects your attunement to the great song.
What are all these Killiks doing here?
The hive requires more nutrients. These are foraging parties. They'll gather what we need.
Cortez isn't happy about having Killiks around, you know.
Yes. We apologize for the incident with the battle droids. It should have been avoided. Our observers saw you enter the Cortez estate. The fingerlings were listening and heard mention of Denry Ale. We met Ale during our time as ambassador. With his wealth and talent, he could be your target.
The Baron claims not to know his whereabouts.
We might be able to help. Our nest has had many joiners over the years. Soldiers, children, nobles. We can search their memories and see what they know of Denry Ale.
Are all these people in the nest like you?
As Dawn Herald and emissary to the Empire, we retain more independence. But we're all joiners. We remember Pabal Alder. When her speeder crashed, our foragers brought her to the hive. Our healers tended her. We became one. Her house, House Alder, an old house of scholars and antiquarians, granted Ale residence in honor of his work as a mediator. Ale kept records of his work in the Alder estate. If you can penetrate the estate's defenses, those records are yours.
Good work. I'll have those records in no time.
If we may be so bold. A warning. House Alder opposes the Empire, and the estate is always prepared for an Imperial attack, even a stealthy one. Be careful.
Okay. So they had a member of House Ald as a member of their hive mind. The dark side grows stronger, I approve. And House Ald we had already heard about because Lord Stanley was planning his assault on House Alder himself in the Duran Mountains. So what we'll do is we'll get ourselves to the entrance of House Thul, or its compound at least, and that's where we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be following the road over to the Duran Mountains to our next Imperial base of operations, and introduce ourselves to Lord Stanley, see what he knows about House Alder and what his objective is. See if he has a suggestion about how we may infiltrate House Alder's compound. But apart from that, we have everything here. Yeah, that's absolutely fine by me. Okay. Yeah, thank you all for joining me here with some more Star Wars The Old Republic, playing as Thalon here. As always, feel free to leave a comment if you so wish, and hopefully I'll see you for even more next time. Until then, no, take care. Bye-bye now.